Okay, but I don't think I need an editor because I checked my book and there's no spelling errors, not even one. Editing is so much more than spelling errors. In fact, you can have whole rounds of different types of editing and not have a single spelling error corrected. Developmental editing and content editing are both types of editing that, under most definitions, do not address spelling or grammar. Beta reading is also a type of editing that does not address spelling or grammar. A book that goes through traditional publishing will have several rounds of editing and not a single spelling error will be caught. That doesn't mean that they're not there, that just means that the editor is focused on different things. Which things? Glad you asked. Initially, the editor is going to want to make sure that the biggest picture things are set. Now for fiction, that means plot, character, and theme. In the biggest picture edits, which will be covered in either a beta read or a developmental edit, depending on what you get, you could get both. Your editor will be making comments that say things like, I don't understand this character's motivations. I think this is a plot hole here. Here's why. I don't understand what's happening. Can you make this clear? Wait, why does she like him? We don't get enough of this mother character for me to care that much when she dies. And so on. In a closer edit, which would be something like content editing, though every editor defines these things slightly differently, so make sure if you get an editor that you know what you're signing up for. If I were doing a content edit, this would be like smaller changes than what I just described. I might touch on those larger changes, especially if the book hasn't gone through beta reading or developmental, but usually content editing focuses on a smaller scale, but still content-focused changes. For example, this fight scene goes on for too long. We're going to cut a little bit of it to tighten up the pacing and make the action go a bit faster. This setting description doesn't have enough sensory details, so let's try to add some of the 5 senses in here. The word choice in this sentence is a little boring. Let's try to spice it up. The characters are just talking heads. Let's give them something to do while they have this dialogue. Big focus is often repetition, including indirect repetition, clarity, etc. So while the last round for big picture, this one is focusing on this scene, this chapter, this paragraph, sometimes this sentence, the issues that are affecting this smaller chunk of the writing. All of this is actually the biggest part of editing, and it can take months, and that's on a good book. It's the most important part, in my opinion. Even as an author, this is where the book comes to life. And then, after all that, finally, we can address those spelling errors. Is the editor really going to pass by a bunch of misspelled words? Well, yeah, why would we fix them if that whole paragraph is going to get deleted? And a lot of paragraphs will get deleted because they're repetitive or just not necessary, etc. Splitting up the edits in this way is how things are done in the traditional publishing world, and it's how a really good editor will work with your book, in phases, in rounds. Each round requires different skills, and there are many, many, many editors that specialize in only one part of the process. But you cannot edit your book like this yourself, completely. Obviously, you can go through and edit your book yourself, but I promise you need a second set of eyes, or a third, or a fourth, or more. You just can't see all the pieces of the puzzle no matter how much you work on it. I promise you that some of the best pieces of my writing were ideas from my friends and from my editors. So yes, you need an editor. If you're going for traditional publishing, you will get one if you get picked up for publishing, but you might not, especially if the book isn't edited that well. So what I would suggest, go for a professional editor if you can afford one. At the very least, ask your friends to read it, especially if they are writers or readers too. And listen to your editors. They know what's best for you, I promise. We're not trying to hurt you. We're just trying to make the book good. Promise. Okay, that's it. Happy writing. And send this video to anybody who asks this question.